So, I just watched The Long Walk, and guys, it is so good. This might just be the best Stephen King adaptation ever. Now, I've actually read the book before going to see this movie, and I gotta say, there's a lot of things that they changed in the film in order to streamline it, and I think it makes for a much better overall product. For example, in the book, there are 100 people participating, but there's only 50 in the movie. I think that this is better for multiple reasons. For starters, it's really difficult to show 100 people on the screen, and because there's only 50 people in the movie, we get to spend more time on screen with the characters that we actually care about. I think that this movie is also very brutal in the best way possible. It's not necessarily gory or over the top, but it shows a lot of the characters' brutal death sequences. The violence in this movie is a core theme, and I think it handles it very well. The messaging is super strong in this movie, and it communicates it in a variety of interesting ways. I think also the dialogue is great. As I was watching this movie, I noticed that a lot of the lines were ripped straight from the book, and a lot of the interactions between the characters just feel very natural and fun. This also makes it way more sadder when the lovable characters are killed off. And speaking of the characters, everybody in this movie is doing an amazing job. I think David Johnson puts on the best performance as Peter McVries. He's such a likable character, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching him throughout this movie. His motivations are very clear, and he's just such a kind and loving person. He also has a lot of great emotional moments throughout this movie, and a lot of the film is just the characters talking to one another, and this feels very authentic. And because it's so authentic, the emotional moments feel genuine. Now, I'm going to get into some spoilers real quick, so if you don't want any spoilers, skip to this time code. This movie has so many highlights from each scene, and I want to just talk about some of them real quick. For starters, the opening scene. I honestly love this entire opening sequence. It's very tragic, and we're introduced to the premise and the rules and the characters very, very quickly. And then shortly, we get our first death in the movie, Curly. His death is super brutal. The music builds up, the characters are all screaming for him to get back up, and we see how he dies up close. This movie makes each gunshot feel so impactful and tragic, and every main character has such a tragic death sequence. All the stuff towards the end of the movie with Barkovich is also incredibly sad. On one hand, he so desperately wants to be a part of something and not a loner, but he casted himself out pretty early on for being so selfish. His death felt different because on one hand, you as the audience are very irritated by him and you don't really want him to be here anymore, but on the other hand, he's just such a sad and tragic person. Every character's death has a level of tragedy and nuance to it, and I honestly think it's great. And this leads me to the final thing I want to talk about in this movie, the ending. Now, going into this movie, I kind of figured that they might change the ending, not because I was spoiled, but just because a lot of the Stephen King adaptations do have different endings. And honestly, I think that this ending is better than the book in multiple ways. This ending was so tragic and heartbreaking. Peter was inspiring and uplifting throughout the whole story, and to end with him carrying out Ray's plan is just so upsetting and yet gratifying. Peter stoops down to the Major's level by killing him, but it also feels good since the Major's the one responsible for all of this. And once again, David Johnson's performance is perfect in this scene. He carries these emotional moments so well. So, overall, The Long Walk is amazing. It's got everything that a great Stephen King adaptation needs. It's got a powerful message, fantastic acting, and a very compelling story. This movie is simply amazing. So, I'm going to give The Long Walk a 9 out of 10.